Hey everyone, welcome to A Page I Love. This is Kevin Sharp. Today I'm here with artist Paul Pelletier, who's going to be working on the new G.I. Joe series for Skybound. We're going to be talking about not only a master comic artist today, but a master in general. Thanks so much for being here and tell us about where we're going with A Page You Love.
Well, it's my pleasure to be chatting with you. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, if people are familiar with my work, I tend to do more traditional American superhero style. But like when I was a kid, 10 or 11 years old, I was big into, superhero comics, but I came across a copy, I think it's just a small digest sized paperback version of The Best of Creepy. And I think I picked it up at a garage sale. And I remember thumbing through it, and I mean, talk about artists that are in it. I think it's Steve Ditko and Wally Wood and Al Williamson and Alex Toth. But the one story that really stood out for me, and just to this day, I mean, I had to buy the hardcover collection a few years back when it came out, just because it had that story. Was a werewolf story, 6 pager by Frank Frazetta, and I was familiar with like his album covers and book covers, but I had never really seen him do comic book art, the storytelling artwork. And that werewolf story just blew me away. Like and like to this day, like when you ask me to pick a specific page, that's the story I kept going back to. And you would think that it would have affected my artwork more in my career, but sadly it didn't.
You said you had seen Frazetta's work outside of comics. Did it click for you that this was the same guy?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's a great question. You know what? I might not have right off the bat, but or vice versa. I might have seen. I was familiar with the posters and covers. Maybe I wasn't as familiar with the name until I saw it in that creepy magazine. But yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, but it all clicked when I realized, oh wait, this is the same guy. Okay, this stuff is just fantastic.
So as we dive in here and the viewers will see the page at this point, wow, talk us through what's going on this page for you.
I guess I could chalk it up to almost the printing because there's more gray tones used in his work or in these stories than what you normally would see in Creepy. A lot of it was just regular black and white inks. So the gray tones really struck me, and just the power and emotion that Frazetta puts into his figure work. It stuns me every time I see it, and especially on that first page, the way he spotted blacks to make his monstrous werewolf look that much more monstrous. There's just a power to it that there's very few other artists have been able to capture, and I think that's why, like, even young Paul flipping through the digest came to that story and was like, holy cow, this is a little different than what I had been used to seeing in comic books.
In the second panel, which is just kind of a quote unquote regular scene,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even this is just a piece of fine artwork.
Again, like I said, with his figure work, I mean, you can tell almost the personality of the characters, even without having the dialogue. Like the hunter on the right, you could tell this guy's in charge. This guy is confident. And it's just body language that he would use. The separation of background and foreground just by his line weights and shadow work. The little details of the table and like the dinnerware and stuff on the table. It's just absolute. You kind of take it for granted, especially if you're looking at it and not having drawn comics. You might take that stuff for granted, but now after what 30 plus years of drawing comics, I'll look at that kind of thing and think, man, that there's a lot of thought that went into there. This was not just someone who was coasting. This was someone who was thinking, every little detail that was in the panel.
To play a hypothetical, is there any way we could take this exact page and make it work in color?
Probably not. I mean, that's the masters of the of inking and black and white. I think the only way it possibly could work is just a very flat, very muted color. Nothing rendered, nothing like super detailed, but just maybe a really flat, muted color might work. But otherwise than that, nah, it's perfect in black and white.
I have to hit you with this question, just in case the answer is yes. Do you own any Frazetta original art?
No, I do not. I have a ton of sketchbooks and art books of his, but no, I'm not that lucky to have actually owned a Frazetta.
Thank you for talking to us about the page. Let me throw it over to you now. Please tell the viewers what you have out, what you have coming out for 2024, anything that you'd like people to take a look at.
Well, after a couple of years of not having anything on the shelves, because I was working with gaming companies and video game companies, I have a run of G.I. Joe. As of this recording, the first issue had just come out. I believe I'll be doing, I think, 4 or 5 issues in a row. So I'm back on the stands again with G.I. Joe. I think it was just announced I'll be taking part in the 0 Hour celebration for DC. I've got a couple 10 pagers I've done with DC, one in the spring break special. I think there's going to be a Christmas one coming out later this year. The main gig I've got going right now is G.I. Joe for Skybound/Image.
Great. Well, thanks again for joining us, Paul, and giving me and the viewers an excuse to look at some Frazetta work. Always welcome.
Hey, there should never be an excuse for that. Just do it. Just enjoy it.